PNG Power Staff raised concerns regarding workplace issues. Electoral Commission aims to use biometric voting system. And Milne Bay Youths Embark on agriculture to address social issues.
This is National EMTV News with Dennis Orere.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Saturday's news. PNG Power Management has acknowledged the actions taken by PNG Power Workers Union through the PNG Energy Workers Association regarding certain workplace issues. They also advised that the union must comply with the Department of Labour requirement and standard industrial relations dispute resolution procedures.
Yesterday, PNG Power Staff took industrial actions over the new pay structure or the enterprise agreement and the PPL refocus strategy and unbundling exercise. The enterprise agreement contains all employment conditions and protects disciplinary process, salaries and workers' welfare. The workers claimed the management have failed to meet with the employees to explain what would be the consequences in the long run. With most employees with loans and other commitments, they claimed this could affect their employment. In a media statement, the PNG Power CEO says the proposed unbundling exercise is a National Executive Council decision through its shareholder Kumul Consolidated Holdings. This plan is to ensure electricity is provided in a more competitive, productive and profitable manner. And it has been extensively communicated verbally and through writing to ensure all employees are aware of the changes. The CEO says PPL will comply with and implement this directive. He says while individual staff members have the right to participate in union meetings or strike actions, they do not have the right to take time off from work to participate in strike actions not properly sectioned by the industrial registrar. And the meeting conducted earlier this week was not in compliance with the agreed process and deemed illegal. The CEO says issues raised by the union can be discussed and addressed internally through established process. Rayon Lakingu National, EMTV News.
Prime Minister James Marape has expressed concern on the delay with the National Development Bank in rolling out the 80 million kina that the government allocated to the bank last year for lending to SMEs. Speaking at the annual SME breakfast yesterday in concluding SME Week at APEC House, PM Marape said he has plans of meeting with NDB board and management to iron out issues that are causing the delay. Having acknowledged BSP Financial Group Limited for at least rolling out some of the 100 million kina that was allocated to them, the Prime Minister expressed disappointment over NDB's inability to commence lending to SMEs in the country as expected.
Well, in 2020, we've funneled 100 million to BSP. We've also funneled 80 million to National Development Bank. And if it is happening, then I'm happy it is happening. I think BSP has been rolling it out. To be honest with you, I'm a little bit discouraged with what NDB is doing, and I will have a session with them next week. But let me say thank you to Kina Bank. Without extra government support, or no government support at all, Greg came to my office one time. You don't need to give me some fund, and I will try to support SME in putting a special program for them and facility for them.
Next week, the Prime Minister will have an audience with the board and management of NDB to enable the rolling out of the SME funding more quickly.
And in the next week and two, I will have a session with our three main banks in our country, Kina Bank, BSP and NDB. And with NDB, because it's state-owned, we will have a specific interest. And we may need to make intervention at the board level again. We may need to, through that, and have intervention at the management structure. So we put good, qualified people to get it up and running and moving.
The main objective of this credit facility is to enable existing and aspiring PNG citizens, MSMEs and cooperatives that have insufficient capital to be able to pursue their business interests under very concessional loan interest rates. Wholly owned by IPBC as trustee for the state and people of PNG, its primary function is to provide accessible development credit to the citizens of PNG to engage in income generation with the aim of improving the quality of lives for Papua New Guineans. Under the credit facility, The National Development Bank will be lending at 4% interest rate for a repayment term of up to 20 years. Priority sectors for the credit facility are for SMEs in agriculture, women, youth and those in the autonomous region of Bougainville, which is 8 million kina out of the total 80 million kina will be for Bougainville SMEs. Newly elected Bougainville Regional MP Peter Chamalili Jr., in speaking on MTV's In Focus program, said he is working with existing and aspiring SMEs in Bougainville to meet requirements of the credit facility.
Although it hasn't come in a timely manner, it's also allowed the people back home to get themselves prepared to actually fulfill the requirements to access that 8 million, which is 10% of the 8 million. And just recently in our breakfast meeting, where the Prime Minister said that he will be talking with NDB next week, which further gives the confidence that the 8 million will be ready. Most likely, for me, the rollout of my program, I've earmarked August. So hopefully by August, that money will be easily accessible by those that want to take out that loans.
Mr. Chamalili Jr. has plans of assisting those wanting to apply for loans under the government's credit facility, particularly startups, with their equity.
It's not being unfair. It's although some of the requirements by the banks may have been in the past, and that's why I guess the equity part for me, that's why I've structured the 8 million kina under my program, is that I will, by me, look out in this security component, na this equity component belong especially long all startups blomipla. So it makes it a lot easier and a lot accessible for our ordinary Bougainvilleans on the ground.
And we'll have more of Bougainville Regional MP Peter Chamalili Jr. speaking on Bougainville SMEs under the national government's Credit Enhancements Facility through National Development Bank on MTV's In Focus program next Monday, the 28th of June 2021 at 7 p.m. People's First Party leader and Yangaru Sausia MP Richard Maru has challenged the government to give more support to SME. He says the SME sector needs more SME policies to be implemented to support local SMEs. Maru says the people cannot continue to be spectators on their own land.
In a media statement, People's First Party leader and Yangaru Sausia MP Richard Maru challenged the government to do more and support local SMEs. He says more SME policies must be implemented to support local businesses. He says the people must not continue to be spectators on their own land. The party leader says if the government is committed to support SME, they must introduce the reserve business legislation in Parliament. This legislation will provide a list of businesses which will be reserved for PNG citizens only. This bill was prepared and approved for tabling in Parliament over 2 years ago. He challenged the Prime Minister to table this bill in the next Parliament sitting. While supporting the government's initiative to support SME through its loan programs, Maru says this is not good enough. He says the government must demonstrate its commitment by passing the necessary laws and implement the SME policy. The party leader further thanked the Prime Minister for his initiative to enact the revised Public Finance Management Act during his term as Finance Minister. This provides for government contracts valued less than 10 million kina to be given to PNG companies. He says this is a step in the right direction as local companies are benefiting from this shift in policy. Rayon Lakingu National, MTV News.
The Electoral Commission is aiming to use the biometric voting system in the 2027 national elections. Acting Electoral Commissioner Simon Sinai said this is a mammoth task. However, he is confident with constant funding and support from the government, this can be achieved.
Speaking to the media yesterday, the acting commissioner says the biometric voting system is the right system for the country going forward. And he says in order to implement this, the process must start small in targeted urban areas.
We will start at a smaller scale, maybe the cities first, mostly. We got a machines to do it. We have tested it, we have run it, and we are confident that we are going to do biometric, not a biometric, verification, identification of voters and issuing of ID cards to the voters in the city, most especially Lae, Mendeng, Rabaul, Kokopo, maybe Mandagen, all those big areas, we can target that at a smaller scale. Come 2023 and onwards to 2027, we go to the greater outer parts of the 89 electorates and see how we can manage that.
The biometric voting system was trialled last year in Central Province during a ward council by-election and was a success. But with the 326 LLGs and the 6,112 wards throughout the country, it will take at least 5 to 6 years before it can be fully implemented. A mammoth task that requires constant funding in the millions.
We would like to see a electoral roll that is containing all the photos of the voters, and at the same time the machine that we have can snap you and then can produce your photo, put it into the system, and at the same time at that very hour can print a ID card right there. So we have 120 machines already, and we want to get some more to go into the 331 LLGs and try to cover and try to do it. If time fails us, then we resort back, but at least we are covering some of those critical electorates and areas that we want to do.
But for now, the Electoral Commission will use the ballot system for next year's national elections. And Sinai says the Commission is focused on awareness for a safe and fair election come 2022.
I think the best way to attract attention is to do awareness, a lot of awareness, and also issue ID cards to the voters. We have to build the election process. We have to enjoy elections, not to fight each other. So let us prepare to be, to accept changes and move together and help each other to see the democratic process of the elections done properly and everybody satisfied.
Stanley Over Jr., National MTV News.
You're watching National MTV News. More stories after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. The National Fisheries Authority has renewed its partnership with the Department of Education to provide fisheries skills and technology training at TVET institutions. A memorandum of understanding was signed earlier this week, which paves way for more assistance and capacity building at TVET institutions. Under this MOU, the Education Department will ensure tools, equipment and TVET infrastructure are established through funding from NFA.
The Memorandum of Understanding was signed between the Education Secretary, Dr. Uke Kombra, and the National Fisheries Authority Managing Director, Noan Pakop. This MOU paves way for fisheries skills and technology training to be offered at various TVET centers in the country. Through this MOU, the Education Department will ensure interested TVET centers are fully resourced and assist capacity building at TVET centers where the training will be delivered, and it will be funded by the National Fisheries Authority.
We'll work collaboratively with the NFA to identify more TVET institutions. At the vocational center level or course levels, we have close to 130 institutions. We will need to look at further with NFA to expand the number of institutions that provide these courses.
This partnership to offer fisheries training at TVET centers began in 2014, and this is the third renewed MOU. Fisheries courses offered at TVET centers include Certificate 1 in Commercial Fishing Operations, Certificate 1 in Post-Harvest Operations, and Certificate 1 in Aquaculture. In 2020, Fisheries Skills and Technology was developed and introduced, and it will be delivered under this new MOU.
This new qualification combines all the fields of fisheries under one training component, which now allows a student to graduate with multiple skills in post-harvest operations, commercial fishing operations, which is the technology component, the general fishing skills, and aquaculture skills, which ultimately, with this qualification, enables a better skill trainee in all fields.
The NFA Managing Director further adding that courses are not only offered at TVET centers in coastal provinces only, but also in the Highlands region, where they are promoting the aquaculture program. So far, over 3 million kina have been invested in the aquaculture program.
Investments so far have exceeded about 3 million kina, which include fishing gear, support to fishing gear equipment, aquaculture equipment, classrooms, and processing infrastructures since the inception of the project.
The Education Department will continue to assist in teacher training at TVET centers and assist with the national certificate programs. And they will also monitor and evaluate the progress of the implementation process with reports to be presented to NFA.
So there's a number of processes that we have in terms of curriculum development, implementation. And therefore, the signing here will ensure that we will continue to complete the process in curriculum development, assessment, and actual implementation at the schools level.
Rayon Lakingu National, MTV News.
Education Secretary Dr. Uke Kombra has highlighted the need to offer short courses to help people go into SMEs. He says while they are developing long-term courses for full-time students at TVET institutions, it is also important that locals have the necessary skills to support them. Through a policy, they will be offering short courses at TVET institutions that are relevant to help people who wish to get into SME.
So all in all, we will also like to look at the implementation of some short courses. It is very important that whilst we are developing and implementing long-term courses which for full-time students in our TVET institutions, it is also very important that our own communities and people at the grassroots level must also have the basic skills that we are trying to implement at the school level. And what we are encouraging, and through a policy that I have alluded to a couple of weeks ago, is the SME sector, or the small grassroots people that are trying to help themselves in small businesses. We need to support this sector as well, or these individuals as well, so that not just the students who come into the colleges, but those who are in the villages, they can come for very short courses that are relevant to their needs. It can be a one-day course, it can be a one-week course, a one-month course. But as far as possible, we can break up these courses that we are developing for the formal institutions into courses that are relevant for our grassroots people, or especially those who want to go into small businesses. So in that way, we can make and add value to what we are doing at the moment.
Criminals overtaking a once peaceful town and ransacking everything in their path, and a massive gun battle in the heart of Alotau town has painted a bad picture for the province in general. Even young people, especially the men, are all suspects as police keep a close eye. But not all is what is portrayed. Some youths are good community members and are looking at agriculture as the way forward in addressing social issues.
Meet Daisy Paraskos. She is a graduate journalist. After completing her journalism degree, she settled at the village in Milne Bay province when all her efforts in securing a job in a small town weren't successful. She didn't lose hope though. She used her skills to be the voice of her people back in the village, openly talking about the challenges of agriculture.
With cocoa and vanilla being one of the highest commodities cash crop-wise in Papua New Guinea, little has been looked at in Maramatana. And I am not ashamed to say that leaders of this LLG have turned a blind eye to farmers who struggle day in, day out into town. So I decided that I will use Facebook and a mobile phone as my office to go onto social media and show and expose the negative side and the positive side of living in the village. I decided to take pictures of rotting cocoa pods, overgrown cocos from different farms in Awayama. And I realized that there wasn't much extensive work.
Her efforts didn't go unnoticed as a huge delegation visited her village recently. She is grateful that she can help in this way. Today, apart from telling the stories of her people, she helps her family farm vanilla and cacao, with hopes of one day venturing into downstream processing. She calls on young people in the province to see agriculture as a way forward in all aspects of development.
Development will take place when we open up, and it is time for the youths of today to rise up and say that let's Let's throw away our guns. Let's leave behind the tribal fights. Let's stand up together as youth and elites of today to change the mindset and stabilize the economy of Papua New Guinea through agriculture, because agriculture is the way forward.
Another journalist taking a bold step to change mindsets is Festus Maiganap. He lives in Alotau town, specifically Garuboy Street. The street is associated with PNG's most wanted criminal Tommy Baker. He grew up here, so young men here are closely monitored by the police. But with so much negativity being portrayed against them, they don't want that image to destroy or affect the next generation's conscience.
So it is a holistic approach to addressing the different issues that we have. Now, Garuboy is also associated to Tommy Baker, Papua New Guinea's most wanted criminal. So yeah, we both grew up together anyway. But I've been away for 17 years. After uni, I took up journalism and corporate affairs. Now, coming back to Alotau, looking at our young ones growing up, and we don't want them to follow what Tommy has done, because he's already tagged as a terrorist.
Through the cooperative society, youths on the street are currently being engaged in building proper drains on the street. Festus said they hope to expand the portfolio into agriculture in the near future.
So we want to attend it around and get them involved in something lucrative. They come to the society, we sell it, and they get a cut, and there's a cut also for the society, a little cut. So we're trying to make this, it's an ownership where we want the people from the community in Bottom Town to take.
This is one way they are helping the province build a new mindset for the next generation.
Indirectly, we are trying to assist the provincial administration and the police through an indirect intervention, which is our cooperative society. So now,
Shamin Poreambeb, National EMTV News.
When you arrive at Geni Airport in Milne Bay Province, you will most likely bump into two gentlemen selling traditional artifacts. You won't miss them, as their broken Milne Bay English pidgin is enough to grab your attention. Max and Riu say they enjoy this craft and will not stop until all their children complete their education and they achieve their dreams.
And she said it to Alotau, and I'll sell it.
Riu broke out in laughter as his pidgin and English are bad, he claims.
Plenty. Sorry, I'm not speaking good English, that's why I say that's all.
But the language barrier does not affect his sales. Like any good salesman, Riru is aggressive, a technique to ensure all his baskets and buggy and the lime pot are sold.
I'm from Craven Island. A long time I'm selling basket and buggy too. Basket, big ones, 20 kina, and small ones, 10 kina.
His business partner, his wife, helps him with purchasing the baskets from women in the village.
This is from the village you buy from community. Women's Fellowship or village people, and she sent it to Alotau, and I'll sell it.
From the sales, he saves money for children's school fee and a dream of being a successful businessman.
I want to do some business, the village. That's why I won't give up. I'm still selling. My vision is fresh. I buy vehicle already in the village. Now, still selling those things. 12,000 from the village. Second hand, but I'll buy it. I don't know, anytime I buy one plastic.
Another gentleman who joins him at the airport is Max Tom. Like Riru, he apologized for his little knowledge of English and pidgin before telling why he does his market.
Sometimes I put in the bank, son, my school fees, and one Islands High School teacher, one John Bosco, one PNG Power. Maybe in 4 years, 84,000. Already finished. Okay, today one son, another son, one daughter. Daughter finished, my Tambo finished, okay, my son. Last day, 2 more years, finishing Islands High School teacher.
He sells mostly bagi, a necklace accustomed to the Milne Bay tradition with matching earrings. He started off with a 50 kina and now earns more than that in a day.
It's working mama make some 50 kina task. Okay, go to school. I buy school boys here, students here. I buy 50 kina bag. Okay, I make it 300. One necklace, 500. Make it earrings 500. Okay, another day 1,000. Okay, start by baggy, cabins, line pot, fan. Okay, make it. Because sometimes I put pen, my caddy. Okay, only small coins by small kaika. Plenty coins, I put what? Bank, school Christmas.
COVID-19 has greatly impacted their business, which largely depends on visitors into the province, especially tourists. Last year, they stopped sales when all flights stopped. But that didn't dampen their spirits. They returned to the village and increased their stock. With the flights resuming, they now target local visitors on duty travel. Well, at least that's where the money is. Shamin Poreambab, National EMTV News.
When we return, we look at stories making headlines overseas. Don't go away. Welcome back. The St. Teresa Primary School in NCD farewelled one of its longest-serving teachers yesterday. Mrs. Christine Suga served the school for more than 30 years. Suga served as a head teacher for 21 years.
Described as a good role model, Christine Chuga was a dedicated teacher. Chuga comes from the Gulf province of PNG and married to a man from Bougainville. She served St. Teresa Primary School as the head teacher for over 2 decades. Even though she was tough and strict, Chuga always made time to assist others.
And not only confining experience and leadership skills and qualities to herself, but she's open to mentor and she's open to assist others to learn from her, so they can also become leaders, especially the teachers that are working under her.
Also present to witness the farewell was the member for Mosby South, Justin Chachenko. In his keynote speech, Chachenko said Chuga has done a lot in her teaching career.
She's gone through a lot, not only losing her husband while she was principal here at the school, but also raising a family by herself, her own family. And then, of course, managing and running St. Therese Primary School as well. It's not an easy task. It takes a strong woman, dedicated woman.
Apart from school, Chuga was a faithful Catholic. She was devoted and loyal.
To uphold what we call church codes 1, 2, and 3, she actually lived by that, and she also upholds the Catholic Church philosophy in education. She reflects that in her life, both inside and outside of the school. And she has got very good standing in the community as a faithful Catholic and as a Catholic teacher.
Chuga enjoys soccer games almost every Saturdays. Porivai, National EMTV News.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The 2021 mid-year school holiday fishing competition commenced today at the Adventure Park at 14 Mile. Many children and families stand up to catch fish. The competition aims to engage school students during their school holiday. Josie Kelly from Morobe was among today's lucky prize winners. She walked away with 1,000 kina for her catch. Her brother also won 200 kina. The competition will continue on weekends only and ends on Sunday, the 11th of July 2021. And that story wraps up Trukai Sports, the weather report after these messages. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
Regional weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, Port Moresby, cloudy periods with brief showers. Alotau, few showers. To the Momase region, Lae, cloudy periods with some showers. Vanimo, cloudy with some showers and possible thunderstorms. In the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau, brief showers. Kokopo and Rabaul, mostly fine. To the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, cloudy with few showers. Mendi and Wabeg, cloudy with few showers.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
And that's the news, sports and weather for today, Saturday, the 26th of June 2021. Pleasant viewing. Have a safe weekend. Good night.